What's going on, people? Good morning and welcome back to another series of Good Morning Tottenham, and we've got quite a bit to get through today. We're going to get through a match preview, but before the match preview, let's start off with a bit of news doing the rounds, and let's start off with Tanguy Ndombele. There's been an article this morning. Who was the article from?
It was from Dan Kilpatrick.
From Dan Kilpatrick, exactly, and he is kind of stating that Ndombele has held talks with Nuno and Fabio Paratici now, and he is willing to knuckle down, fight for his spot, and get on that pitch and play some football for Tottenham Hotspur. But this was said last summer, but to be fair to him, last summer he did do it. But why are we going through this every single year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit frustrating where, like headline news, Ndombele wants to work hard. He
finally wants to work for his 200 grand a week.
He's paid 200 grand a week. He finally, he wants to break a sweat now. But look, as much as we want to clown on it and be frustrated by the situation, it's a positive. It can only be positive step two of him moving on next summer. I want to make sure that he's in the best position to get any offer that he wants, or the best position for Spurs to get as much money as possible. Because, this summer we were prepared to take a cut price fee, and we very nearly took a loss on him. So if he really, and the only thing that really stopped us taking a loss on him is no one really came in for him. That's the truth. So if he wants that move, it's best for everyone. It's best for him. It's best for Tottenham. If he really knuckles down, gets back into that starting 11, and we see the best Ndombele. And I think that from that aspect, it's positive that he's now had those conversations with Nuno and Paratici, and hopefully. Maybe we might even see him this weekend. If we'll have to wait and see on that one. It depends if Nuno thinks he's ready to play. But I really believe that with a good Ndombele, that improves our chances of achieving things this season.
Of course it does. Just the sheer quality of the man on the football pitch is second to none. We've all said, we've said it time and time again. How many more times can we say it, that this guy's got best technical ability, one of the best technical ability in the world, bar none. And it's just his kind of attitude and mentality that he can't marry up with his ability. And either way, if he leaves at the end of this season, I'll just be so bitter about it. Because if he's done well and he goes on to have a great career, I'll be bitter that great career is not happening at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
And if he does bad and leaves and doesn't have a great career, I'll be bitter about how good he could have been.
Mm-hmm. And that would have been most frustrating thing. But I really believe him in the 4-3-3 with Nexa, Skip and Højbjerg providing that balance could really benefit him massively, and he could really fit in nicely into this team. I really believe that. I think he could do Dele's role with a bit of extra as well, with a bit more quality, because what Dele's struggling at the moment, it being in that centre, is as we say constantly, he just dallies on the ball too long. He doesn't make up his mind. He's very easy to take the ball off him and stuff like that.
And a lack of creativity as well.
That's the thing. He doesn't Dele shouldn't have a lack of creativity. He's a creative player, but I think in those deeper positions, he's finding it hard to maybe get on the ball in the positions he likes to be in. And I think Ndombele is more at home in that central area when there's bodies around him and he's in tight spaces and things like that. I think that's more Ndombele's game. So I think Ndombele could definitely slot into that role and thrive. Could he do the role that Dele's doing off the ball in terms of being super aggressive and winning all those challenges? I reckon Dele's doing such a good job in that at the moment. It'll be hard for Ndombele to be as good as Dele in that aspect, but I think there's give and take, and I think maybe Ndombele could still be good off the ball, maybe not as good as Dele, but I think he could be a lot better than Dele on the ball right now.
Yeah, of course he can. Of course he can. And if Ndombele's are in a three-man midfield with a Højbjerg and a Skip, and they're running like madmen around him, doing all the dirty work, and Ndombele's left, obviously he's going to have to do some of the work as well. But if his primary role is to get the ball down, dictate play, a deep lying playmaker, basically get those through balls in, spray the ball, be our creative hub in that middle three of Højbjerg, Skip and Ndombele, I think it can work like a charm. I really do.
Yeah, and especially with his dribbling ability, opening up spaces and stuff like that in a 4-3-3. We didn't see him in a 4-3-3 too many times under Jose. Really, we kind of saw him in a 4-2-3-1, either in the hole in the 10 or in the double pivot. One of those two things. We very rarely played a 4-3-3 under Jose Mourinho. So I'm definitely excited by that prospect if Ndombele's knuckling down. And hopefully, after these positive talks, There's definitely more of a chance we see him on the weekend. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know about from the start, but definitely coming on. And I think if he does come on, and that is what Ndombele, the article said, he hopes to make his first appearance of the season next week. Either I'm guessing they're referring to the game against Rennes, but maybe they're talking about on the weekend.
They just unleash him against Chelsea, starting role against Chelsea.
Well, look, if he comes on and makes an impact against Palace and then plays well against Rennes, he could definitely get a starting spot against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Why not? And he's those kind of players who, for me, if we're going to overachieve this season, it's going to be on because players like Ndombele, like Lo Celso, reach a level that we haven't yet seen at Tottenham, and they unlock a new level to their game, which we know they're capable of. And that's the only way I see us achieving more than maybe what's expected of us this season. If they can do more than what we've seen so far, and I think we know Ndombele is more than capable of doing that. We know he is.
Of course he is.
So it's good news for me. I get why people look at this article and get frustrated by it. Oh, he's on 200 grand a week. He shouldn't have to be told to work hard. And all this is all very true. But at the end of the day, you got to just take it as a positive that he is now willing to fight for his place. And why that was true, not true before, we don't really know the full reasons why. But now he is. And that's just, for me, that's a positive. Look, at
the end of the day, in terms of how our season is shaping up and how our season is looking, of course it's a positive. It's just very frustrating with the whole backstory to it all and everything like that, and what happened last summer and all that kind of stuff. And, it just seems as though we're constantly trying to persuade Tanguy Ndombele to get on side and to work hard and all that kind of stuff. And for our star player and kind of our most expensive signing ever, he's on the top wages as well. It's just frustrating. It just really is. A player like that shouldn't have to be told. No player at the end of the day, no Premier League player should have to be told and should have to be kind of convinced to work hard. Let's be honest.
Yep, I completely agree. That's obviously the case should be when you sign a player for record fee and big wages, make him your matched highest paid earner. They shouldn't have to be told to work hard. But at the end of the day, this is how football works sometimes. You have to manage these players. You have to manage these personalities. And each player is different. And someone like Harry Kane, you're never going to have an issue about telling him to work hard. You're not going to have to tell him to work hard. He does it all himself. But that's why players like Harry Kane are so well respected and so highly thought of, because of that kind of mentality he has. And people, I was listening to the kickoff with True Geordie and Adam McCullough, whatever, and they were discussing Harry Kane. And I think it was Rory was saying how, look at the consummate professional he is. He works so hard in training. He's always the first in and everything. And he's such a hard worker. And then and Adam McCullough was like, I'm sick of people always praising footballers for things they should be doing anyway. Why are they getting praised for things that should be a given? And I understand that way of thinking, but at the end of the day, it's not a given with every player. Not and Ndombele is a prime example of that. Not every player has that mentality, and not every player has their own motivation within themselves. Players sometimes need motivation externally from other places, and that's why you should, when someone like Harry Kane comes along, you should praise him for having that kind of mentality, because it's not as easy to find as you think.
Yeah, look, I agree with that, but I'm sorry, someone with the mentality that Ndombele has shown at Tottenham so far should not be anywhere near the wages he's on.
Oh, definitely. We should never have given him 200.
It was a big mistake to give him those wages so early on in his Spurs career. We needed to give him some incentives. We basically haven't incentivized him, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you put him on 200 grand a week, there's no room to grow. And at such a young age, you need to be incentivized to move forward in your career, and we haven't done that, and we've done that as a mistake, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so, because I think we were so desperate to get him in. I think we were so desperate to make a statement signing after that Champions League final to kind of show the Premier League that despite getting in the Champions League, we still wanted to move forward. I'm not saying we made a mistake getting him in, because I think at the time we all wanted him, and I don't think getting him for 55 million I didn't have an issue with. But putting him on 200 grand a week level with Harry Kane when he's 22 years of age, and he's had 2 good seasons in Liga, and he's had a few obviously standout performances in Champions League, but that kind of parity with Kane should be saved for either a player who's consistently proven himself over the 3, 4, 5 years at the top level, or someone of that ilk to give him parity with Kane kind of tells him, like, you've made it already at 22 years of age. Like, you're already that player that we need you to be, where we're actually buying a player on potential, really, more than anything else, or what we hoped he could be. And you should never give a player the parity of a top earner just based on potential. That's a mistake, and that never doesn't sit right with me that he's on that kind of money. He should be level with the likes of Lo Celso, however much he's on, and Højbjerg. Well, he's probably on more than Højbjerg for some reason. He should never be
on much more than
like
Højbjerg,
he was on more than Son up until he signed his contract. However long ago that was. Lloris, I think he's on more than our captain. I think Lloris is on less than him.
Yeah, he is. Even players like Lucas Moura should be on more than him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
At the moment. Yeah, he should never have been coming straight away. That's the kind of wage you have to earn at a club.
Do you reckon it was down to, like, kind of, at that time in the year building up to that, or maybe it was just a few months before that, Pochettino kept saying, like, oh, we need to be a big club, we need to be acting like a big club, talking about the big wages and the big transfer fees, and suddenly we break our transfer record. We kind of equal our wage structure with him, putting him right at the top. That same summer we signed Ryan Sessegnon as well for 30 million, which is obviously overpaying at what we're seeing right now. And obviously that big transfer for Giovanni Lo Celso in the same summer.
Yeah.
So maybe, Levy took that, or the board took what Pochettino was saying and kind of like utilised it in the wrong way, kind of thing.
Maybe. I don't think the signings necessarily were a mistake at the time. I think potentially with the Ndombele situation, what it seems to me anyway, is there was probably competition for him. We know that there was a very well documented Man City before they signed. Who did they sign that summer? They signed some that summer. Rodri. Before they signed Rodri, apparently he was their second choice if that deal didn't go through. So I think, and obviously they probably would have put him on a similar wage to what we gave him. So, or maybe less. But the only way we could have got him is if we made sure that his wage packet was more than maybe the competition. So maybe that's why we paid more for him. And I think that's what we've been calling for. So I can't criticise Levy so much for pushing the boat out to make sure you got the player through the door.
But you need to do it in the right way, don't you?
Yeah, you got to do that. Maybe it was the wrong player to do it with, and maybe there was just a bit of a lack of foresight. But I think it was because there was competition for him. That's why, let's be honest. If we'd lost out on Ndombele because we didn't, at the time anyway, because we didn't want to pay a bit more on wages, we would have gone mad probably.
Yeah, of course we would have. But, the club need to have a bit more foresight. They need to look at, we spoke to a Leon channel at the time and they spoke about his mentality issues with us. And they was, so it was quite evident at the time from people within Leon knowing that he has mentality issues, and the club need to know that. And I think if Daniel Levy and Pochettino knew he had mentality issues, they are not putting him on 200 grand a week. No chance.
Yeah, maybe it was just a case of they thinking they could solve those issues. It wouldn't be a problem because Pochettino at the time was very much known for bringing in improving players. Look what he done with basically Moussa Dembele when he came in.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, but like specifically Ndombele's. He was pretty much tasked with replacing Moussa Dembele. That was his main function for coming into the team. That was the big thing. Him was going to be Moussa Dembele's replacement. So I think Dembele, in a similar way, was kind of seen as a bit of a maverick. Not maybe the same as Ndombele, but before Pochettino came in, he was very inconsistent. Moussa Dembele, he didn't quite get to the level he got. And maybe we thought if he could do with Ndombele what he did with Moussa Dembele, it'd be worth paying that money in, and we could even maybe get him in a high level performance. But obviously Pochettino left very early on in Ndombele's career. Then Mourinho came in, and everything's taken a different path. But
he wanted to leave under Pochettino as well, though.
He said after his first training session he wanted to leave because of how hard he had to work.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's what he said. But I just hope that we can, at least for this season. I'm not even getting too excited about the future. I'm just concentrating just on this season. I'm hoping we can get, if the issues get behind him, even if he has just this good season and he gets a move, if at least Spurs get a bit of a profit on him, then we can at least reinvest that money and maybe get someone who's more suited to what Nuno wants.
I think whatever we're saying about Tanguy Ndombele and about his mentality, about anything like that, every time he's on that football pitch, I get excited.
Yeah.
Every time.
When he gets on the ball, he just makes you
yeah,
stand up.
He's just unbelievable player. And I really hope he can get back to his best this season or pretty soon, because we need him.
Yeah,
we need him.
He's done things on the full pitch I've just never seen anyone do.
Yeah.
It's some of the things he does is absolutely incredible in the centre back. Like, he just does things where he does it so quickly, and you literally have to look at super slow-mo to see how the hell he actually just did what he did and how impressive it is. And that's what he's got to bring to the team. And if he can do that, and if we can get the best out of him, then I think maybe our team is a lot stronger than people anticipate.
Yeah, I agree. And, I don't know if you've seen, it's been going around for a while now, this compilation of Ndombele from the last couple of seasons from us doing the rounds on Twitter. I promise you, every time it comes up on my timeline, I watch the full thing because it is just unbelievable. The guy's quality is just second to none. It really is. And I really hope he can show it for us this season, because it will bring us up a notch. It really will. But that is about Tanguy Ndombele ready to fight his place. Let's move on and let's talk about Hugo Lloris, because apparently, according to Alistair Gold, a new Hugo Lloris deal could be on the cards very soon. Obviously, his deal does run out at the end of this season, and Ali Gold states that if this form of his does carry on for the next couple of weeks, then it looks as though he will be offered a new short-term deal, which could be an extra year with another year add-on if he may wish to sign that. So what would you think about a new deal, and do you think it will happen?
Well, he's 34 years of age, so as keepers go, that's not the it's not like, I know he's old for a football player, but as a keeper, that's not massively old. It's like he is getting to the end, but it's not like he still could easily have 2 or 3 good years left in him before he starts winding down properly. So look, for me, especially since the start of last season, but definitely since he came back from that long injury where he had the Brighton game where he dislocated his elbow.
100%.
I think he's been definitely, for me, top 3 keepers, maybe top 4 keepers in the league. I think he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think he was, to be fair, going through a bit of a sticky patch before then. Despite he was going through a bit of a sticky patch, but he's still making some really good saves. But he was kind of making a few mistakes on a more they started getting a bit more regular, those mistakes during that period. I think he's really cut them out now, those mistakes. They're now a bit few and far between. And I think those charts...
couple this season, but they're not as often
this season,
as they were.
Yeah, last season, yeah. He does, there's still a few of those dodgy moments, but I think the amount of saves he makes that he shouldn't be making is ridiculous. And I think it's proven by those stats we've seen over the past a week or so, which states that... when it comes to Lloris, his expected shot saves is so much higher than any other keeper, pretty much, or any other keepers in Europe. Only Jan Oblak, I think, is better than him. It shows how ridiculous his reflexes and his shot stopping is really incredible. And I think, for me, Lloris, personally, I think he's already proven that he should get a new contract. I don't think it has to be kept consistently. I think I would give him a new contract already.
I would have offered him a new contract at the end of last season, to be fair.
I think he was brilliant last season. I really do. I think he had a bit of a sticky patch in January where he had a few iffy moments. But other than that, I think he was brilliant, and I think he's definitely earned another year. I would have already offered him a contract, because I think right now, I think he is Lloris is probably, first of all, I think he's underrated, not in the Spurs fan base, but also within the Premier League, how opposition fans see him. I think he's very underrated. I don't think people give him the credit he deserves. And I think he's one of those keepers who we're gonna not realise what we had until he leaves. I think with a lot of Spurs fans.
I keep saying that so consistently about Hugo Lloris. I think that he's so underrated by everyone, by literally everyone. He's so disrespected. And his mistakes get polarised more than anyone else for some reason. I mean, last season, who would you put as the other 2 keepers in his company, right? Alisson and Ederson, right?
Yeah. And maybe Emi Martinez had a great season as well.
And Martinez, right? But they all make mistakes. Every single one of them made mistakes last season.
Big mistakes as well.
Emi Martinez, he got goalkeeper of the year last year, and I remember countless amount of times he's made mistakes last season. Yes, he's had a great season, I'm not denying that, but he made mistakes last season. Alisson went through a string of games where he was making absolutely absolutely horrendous mistakes. Ederson, he makes mistakes from time to time, the way he rushes out and all that kind of stuff. Every keeper makes mistakes. Hugo Lloris, for some reason, his mistakes get really polarised and everyone likes to clown on him and everyone likes to talk about it so much. But when other keepers make mistakes, they just don't really dwell on it for too long.
Yeah, I completely agree. And maybe it's because when Lloris makes a mistake, it's usually like something that's avoidable or something, and people...
The same with Ederson.
Yeah, I know, but it's, no, I agree. And I think maybe because of his age, people think, oh, is this evidence of him getting to the end and all that kind of stuff. But, his position in France as captain of France and France has pretty much never been under threat throughout this whole time. They never seem to have any doubts about him. He's also captain of he's Spurs captain as well. Like, everyone seems to within the game realise how good he is and what a special goalkeeper he is. But it just seems for some reason, when fans look at him, maybe it's because he's not the biggest goalkeeper. When you look at Alisson or Ederson or even like a Courtois, something like that, they're like big, like he's tall, Lloris, but he's a bit of a slighter frame, and he's not as dominant in his area coming for crosses and stuff like that. But what he doesn't have in those aspects, he more than makes up for in his other aspects, like with his shot stopping. I think he's arguably the best shot stopper, or has the best reflexes in the league. I think there's a big argument to say he's got the best reflexes in the league. I think his shot stopping is incredible. I think, to be honest, actually, in a weird way, he was much praised for how he used to be under Pochettino and he used to come out and stuff. But I actually think ever since Mourinho's come in and he stays on his line a lot more, I actually think it's helped him out a lot. Because I did think it started to catch. I don't think he's as comfortable on the ball as the likes of Ederson and Alisson are. He's not as good. And actually, to be fair, his distribution's improved, but that's more when he has the ball.
It's literally this season.
But that's more when he gets to like volley it, not more than when the ball's at his feet. But I think he's a lot more comfortable staying on his line. He's a lot more comfortable relying on his reflexes and his shot stopping than he is relying on his ability to rush out and clear the ball and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely an element to his game that's got a lot better. And I think as well, his leadership skills, what he brings to the defence, the back line, his experience, I think he's a top quality keeper. And I think we're lucky to have him at the moment. And I think people should realise how good of a keeper he is before being so ready to see Galini come in as number one and get out. Because I don't think Galini is close to Lloris at the moment in terms of quality. I really don't.
Can't be. And
I don't think he is.
The guy gets disrespected so much. Not by, first of all, do you remember... Before the Amazon documentary, everyone was saying Hugo shouldn't be our captain, give it to Kane, give it to this one, give it to that one, give it to Toby. Basically for the last 5 years, people have been saying strip Lloris of the captaincy and give it to someone else, Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Harry Kane. And then everyone saw that Amazon documentary and seeing what he's actually like in the dressing room, and then people were like, all right, fine, he's a good captain. He's a good captain.
Gives you a lot better team talks than Kane, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And you don't really see that on the pitch. Maybe because he's a goalkeeper and you don't focus on him too much. But when you saw him in the dressing room, you're like, all right, this guy has really got some good leadership qualities about him. You don't become the captain of France as well, World Cup winning side, just for being a good keeper. You've got to have some strong leadership qualities about you. So I think there's definitely misconceptions about Hugo Lloris coming from everyone. And it's time that people start respecting him more. It's time that we do give him that new contract. And I think that the longer we keep him, the better for Spurs, really. Even if we can keep him as a backup keeper after his best years, I think would be good for the dressing room still.
After all this, he's probably going to make a massive howler this season.
Probably
tomorrow, isn't he? Knowing that. But what do you think if we do keep him on and say we offer him a 2-year deal? Do you think Galini rethinks his position? Do you think maybe he thinks either do Spurs not take up the option to sign him, and do we send him back to Atalanta, or does Galini think I don't want to join Tottenham if Lloris is going to be number one? I thought I was going to be number one next season.
Yeah, it's difficult.
How do you think? I think it definitely changes his situation.
Yeah, it does. It's difficult because I think that he's going to be coming. Golini came this year assuming that he would be number one next year. But if he looks at it and being like, all right, fine, it's one more year as backup, maybe he'll do it. But if he signs that 2-year deal, maybe I think it could be goodbye to Galini.
You think so? You think we won't sign up the option?
It could be. I don't know. I think ideally, of course, I would love to sign him. But as well, Galini, after being number one for Atalanta for a couple of years, playing in the Champions League, he's come to Tottenham, yes, a bigger club, and he's like, all right, cool, I've got a vision here to be number one at this great club. But if this vision is delayed a bit, he's already 26. He's going to be 27, 28.
Yeah, but for a keeper, that's young.
I know though, but like to take 2 or 3 years out from regular football is a big deal for a footballer.
Yeah, especially as you say, he was at the top of near the top of Serie A week in week out.
Yeah.
Last year, so I think it was probably as you say, it was probably a good opportunity to him for fight for the number 1 spot. But I think at the moment, if we give Lloris a new contract, it's gonna need a rethink. It's gonna need a difficult conversation. What would you say? Maybe what about signing him and then sending him out on loan potentially, or to a different club? Do you think that's a good option, or do you think maybe just send him back and sign someone else who's more willing to sit on the bench?
I would take him as I think that would be a good shout, to be honest. I think sign him up, give him the choice whether he wants to go out on loan or fight for his spot. And I think it's a win-win, to be honest, because if he comes back from loan, we're going to get a better keeper with better experience. And if he stays and fight for his spot, that shows a bit of his mentality as well, in my opinion. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how the Lloris situation affects Golini. Because I think in the short time we've seen him, he's had some impressive performances. I don't want to say I don't think he's a good keeper. I do, but I just think Lloris is so underrated. I think he's like levels with his goalkeeping above a lot of people.
You've got to forget. Don't forget that when Gazzaniga had that run in the team, everyone was like, "Oh, Gazzaniga's better than Lloris. Yeah. Bring Gazzaniga in the team." We released Gazzaniga, and now he's playing for Fulham in the Championship. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, people need to stop disrespecting Hugo Lloris. They really do.
Completely agree. I'd love to know people's opinions when they call in and stuff, what they think about Hugo, because I think he's so underrated. But yeah, that's all.
All right, let's move on to the match preview. The Premier League returns tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff at Selhurst Park as we take on Crystal Palace under Patrick Vieira. Obviously, 2 teams with a brand new regime at the helm. Mm-hmm. When we look at the kind of last 5 games that we've played against Crystal Palace, 1-3, drawn 2. Good form. I mean, we do seem to have Palace's number in the Premier League, don't we?
Yeah, I think the last defeat we've had at all in the Premier League against them was back in Alan Pardew's first game back in 2015. I remember that game. They beat us 2-1. I remember Harry Kane scored, but we ended up losing the game.
And we lost in the cup as well.
We lost in the cup. Yeah, Martin Kelly scored. I remember we should have won that game, but we ended up losing in the FA Cup under Pochettino. But we seem to have a good record against Crystal Palace. Last 2 games at Selhurst Park have been a bit more difficult than getting those draws. Both games as well. I'm pretty sure we took the lead and then couldn't hang on to it and conceded late equalisers. So it's happened a couple of times. But the game at Selhurst Park last year, if you remember, we had Guaita had an absolute worldie of a game. What a game he had that game, keeping us out. And then we absolutely hammered them out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Gareth Bale getting 2, Kane scoring 2. One of those goals, absolute worldie that way he cut across it into the far corner. Yeah. That was a brilliant goal. But with this new regime under Patrick Vieira, I want to see what kind of animal they're going to be. Because under Hodgson, you kind of knew what they were going to get. When they came up against a better team, they were going to sit back, they were going to try and soak up the pressure and hit you with Zaha and Benteke on the counter-attack and see if they can get any joy. But if they were ever to go behind, it was always going to be a struggle for them. But under Vieira, I think he wants to be a bit more on the deck, play a bit more football, be a bit more attractive to watch, not just sit back all the time, be a bit more, throw caution to the wind a bit, not just be pragmatic. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Palace turns up, because obviously they've had a difficult start to the season, 1 loss, 2 draws. They got 2 goals, both against West Ham. And they did struggle in their first 2 games against Brentford and Chelsea, but they did show some life against West Ham, coming back from behind twice, after going behind against a West Ham side who were in good form, to be fair to them. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
They should have won that game.
Yeah. So you don't really. We're not. It's not easy to know what you're going to get with Palace right now. They've got pretty much a really refreshed squad from last year. A lot of aging players gone. A lot of new players coming in. Players but players who Spurs were linked with as well. Anderson, Edouard, these kind of players who have come in through the door.
Conor Gallagher looks really good as well. I mean, he really is. I mean, last year against in West Brom on loan from Chelsea, he just kept like a more of a defensive role. But now he's like, everything seems to be going through him. And, you know, when you look at their first 3 games, Chelsea, yeah, they were terrible, but that's against Chelsea, which is fair enough in Patrick Vieira's first game. But
and he can probably use ineligible, I'm guessing.
yeah, and game on game on game, they've created more chances and more chances. So, I mean, things are going in the right direction for Crystal Palace. I really believe that. And I think that Conor Gallagher is a big signing for them. Edouard's a big signing for them. They did really well in the transfer market this summer. They really did.
I think they've done a good job refreshing the squad. It's all about if Vieira is the right man to take that forward. I know, Conor Gallagher scored a really good brace against West Ham. His second goal, especially that turn and finish with one touch, was absolutely brilliant. So he's definitely one who's making those runs from midfield. He's going to be difficult to track, and we have to make sure Skip and Højbjerg are doing that job effectively. Otherwise, he could find himself with a bit of space. But obviously, that front line, whoever they play, to be fair, because they've got so many tricky customers in the front line. You've got to make sure that you're on your game as a team to make sure you strict the access to the front line. You restrict them getting the distribution to the front line, because if they get Zaha isolating our fullbacks, he's going to
against Reguilon probably
anyone, or if he's on the left, either it could be on the left
either.
again.
But Zaha hasn't really turned up this season, just as of yet.
Yeah, but he could easily. He's such a dangerous, tricky customer, Zaha. I'm such a big fan of his. I think he's a great player. And they've got, obviously, Edouard could come in as a striker as well, could make his debut. Michael Olise, they signed from Reading in the summer. He's one who could definitely make an impact. And then Jordan Ayew's, he's inconsistent, but when he's on his game, he can be an effective player. Yeah. And obviously Benteke, who I think has been in great form since end of last season. He had a great end to last season, got a new contract.
Am I right in saying he played really well against us last season at Selhurst Park? Or was that...
he scored against us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, was that it? He had a string of games last season where he looked back to his best.
At the end of last season, he had a brilliant last couple of months. He was back to his best. So if we're not on a game, we take this too lightly. If we think this is going to be an easy game, then it could easily be a game where we come unstuck easily.
We always have a tough game against Crystal Palace. I know I was saying we kind of have their number in the Premier League. We always get a result against them, but it's always a tough game, isn't it? I know, like, we beat them 4-1 last season, but by and large, it's always just settled by the odd goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually very, very a close game, and it's shown that especially the last 2 games at Selhurst Park, we haven't won there in 2 games. Being 1-1 draws, and it's usually at Selhurst Park, it's either 1-0 or like a 1-1 or something. That's pretty much what it's been for ever since they've come into the Premier League, and it's usually like either a goal from a corner or like a moment of magic that usually wins it for us. And it's usually a very tight
a late
game.
Goal at Selhurst Park was classic. 1-0. How many times in a row did we win 1-0 at Selhurst Park? And how many times was it a last 10-minute goal?
I remember Eriksson scored that last minute long ranger. I remember Harry Kane scoring from a corner in the 90th
penalty
minute.
Was that a late
that
one?
Was the Soldado penalty. That was near the beginning of the game. I remember Foyth scoring a winner at Selhurst Park, 1-0. So a few times that it's literally won by the odd goal. But it's different at Palace now. It's not the one under Hodgson. It's now one with Vieira. So who knows what? It's hard to predict what Palace is going to turn up.
But do you think that what's going to suit us more, if they play on the front foot or if they do the old Roy Hodgson kind of style of play?
Probably them on the front foot will probably suit us more. I would assume
That's
because it leaves a bit more space for the likes of Kane and Son to put. Because if they're pragmatic and they're crowding Kane and Son whenever they get near the ball and there's not space for them, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if they come at us a bit, open the space, and if we have players who can quickly get the ball to our forwards in space, we're going to be able to hurt them for sure. So I'd have to say, I hope they play a bit more football, try and attack us a bit more, and hopefully we can counterpunch them and get a few goals, because obviously we also want to start scoring a few more goals than just one a game and stop relying on 1-0 wins. That's not a sustainable
definitely
model.
Not sustainable.
That's definitely not sustainable. We saw that a few times. So hopefully we can hopefully tomorrow we can start playing a bit more football and start being a bit more attractive. But it's hard to know because Vieira's so early on in his career and they've kind of been a mixed bag. it's impossible to know what kind of Palace we're going to see under Vieira tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what we're going to bring.
You know for sure what you're going to get when you go to Selhurst Park. You're going to get an intense atmosphere from the home fans, and you're going to get an honest display by the home side as well. So I think we're definitely going to be in for a game of football. I think that if we can get a kind of early goal in this game, calm a few nerves, and then potentially we can go on get another two or three goals. But obviously, like we always say, the longer this one stays at 0-0, the more dodgy it gets.
Yeah, for sure. And if Palace do get the opening goal and get buoyed by the home crowd, it becomes even more difficult this game. So we've got to make sure we quieten the crowd. I think we need to assert our authority on the game. Dominate the ball. Although against Watford we dominated the ball without creating chances, if we do that in an away game, it's a lot more positive to try and quieten the home crowd and get an early goal. Dampen their spirits a bit, and that's how you get some joy. And very important, limit what Zaha does. You've got to limit him massively because he's just their main threat. And if we can limit him, we go a long way to limiting Palace. And I remember against
Conor Gallagher as well.
I remember against at Selhurst Park last year, like every time Zaha got the ball, he was just a threat, winning free kicks, winning fouls, getting crosses in the box,
Much
getting
more
shots
organised
off.
though than we were last year.
They're more organised now.
No, we are.
We're more, yeah. From pressing structural point of view. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of team, who we put up against Zaha, if it's Emerson, if it's Tanganga, if it's Doherty, what kind of...
Or it could even be the other way, it could be Reguilon.
Or if it's Reguilon up against Zaha on the right-hand side. They
I
like to
believe
switch wings.
He's been playing on... Yeah, he does. I mean,
they like to switch.
He's been switching all game, every game so far this season, so...
But
I guess it'll be a bit of both, won't it?
I have a feeling our back line, because we're missing Sanchez, might not be as settled as maybe they were at the start of the season, which could contribute to us maybe not being as effective. We'll have to wait and see how it is. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I've got a feeling we might be conceding our first goal of the season tomorrow. I've just got that feeling. It doesn't mean we can't definitely score a couple and win the game, because our attacking talent is just so good that there's always a possibility. But I've got a feeling with Palace, with second home game of the season for them, they're going to be up for it, and I think we might be conceding our first goal. We have to wait and see.
Well, let's hope not. But what's your score prediction?
I said 2-1.
Saying 2-1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-0. I still think it's going to be 1-0. I back us to keep it tight, even without the kind of Sanchez and Romero and what have you. I still think we can do it, and I do believe that it can play into our favour if they are going to go out and come try and get us. But they didn't against Chelsea, and we saw what happened there, and they got completely overrun that game, and Chelsea tore them a new one really, and they were poor. So look, we'll have to see what happens. I'm going 1-0. Simeon's going 2-1. I want to know from you guys in the comment section below what you think the score is going to be. And also, we're going to start bringing on some guests now. So if you want to come on and have your say about the upcoming Palace game, or Lloris or Ndombele or anything you want Tottenham related, do click that link in the community section and come on and have your say.
All right.
Sorry for that drilling in the background. There's some drilling going on outside. It's so annoying. But let's bring on Connor. Yes, Connor, mate. How you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah,
yes,
all good,
Connor.
thanks. How are you?
Yes, all good, mate. All good. Buzzing for the football to be back. This international break has been far too long, mate.
It's always too long.
It always is, isn't it? It always is.
It was about 2 weeks too long.
I know, especially with this one, especially with all the injuries coming up and the Argentinian madness, it just seems to have been even longer for us.
I know. But kind of before we get onto the game, let's talk about Hugo Lloris, because Ali Gold was saying yesterday, I mean, if this core form carries on with Hugo Lloris, he's going to get a new contract for a year or two. What's your opinions on the whole Hugo Lloris situation, and would you like to see him get that new deal?
Absolutely. I'd be buzzing if he signed a new deal, mate. Honestly, I'd be so excited. I think I completely echo what you both were saying about how he's not respected enough almost, and not given enough credit that he deserves. I think he's just been exceptional. He's a club legend, isn't he? Premier League record appearance holder, brilliant captain as well. As what you were saying, when people were saying he wasn't a good enough captain, and then when that Amazon doc came out, we all saw how he was, because we only see what's on the pitch. We don't see what happens behind closed doors. And he's not one of them leaders that screams and shouts at people like the Gattusos or the De Rossis or the John Terrys. Is a reserved character, but behind closed doors, you can see he keeps people in line. He leads by example.
Definitely.
He's a true professional and he's a bit of a gent. And I think as well, do you remember the Zagreb game last year where he called the team out?
Yeah.
After that game, I think that was exemplary to the sort of attitude he has and the captain he is. I think he has the quality still. He's a world-class goalkeeper, in my opinion, and he does make mistakes. I remember the Palace game last year, he made a mistake, didn't he, for Schlupp to score?
Exactly.
He parried it straight into his path, but the mistakes he does make, he more than makes up for it with the world-class moments he produces for us.
I completely agree with you. And but what do you think it means for Golini if he does get a new deal, say 2-year deal?
Yeah, it's interesting. That situation could change. So I mean, the reason we brought Golini in was for the foresight of Hugo leaving in the summer. So if he does sign a new deal, I think maybe Golini, like you say, could maybe seek a loan move, or we don't bring him in permanently. Because I think it's an obligation to buy at the moment, isn't it?
It's an obligation if he hits a certain criteria. I think it's 15 games in a season or something like that.
That's right, yeah. But I could see him hitting those 15 games because if it includes the Conference League and the League Cup, you could see him hitting those 15 games. So it looks like we probably will sign him on a permanent basis. But then, of course, if Hugo's staying, then his situation's a bit up in the air, really.
Yeah, I guess we'll just going to have to see how it plays out. But keeping Hugo Lloris can only be a good thing. And Tanguy Ndombele, apparently he is ready to work finally this season. He's ready to work. I mean, in your opinion, Tanguy Ndombele, should we be integrating back into the side? I mean, what's your opinion?
I think so. I think I said it. I was talking about him the last time I was on. He's got so much quality. It's unbelievable. You know, as you were saying, that compilation, I've seen it myself. The one you were talking about, Ben, the one on Twitter.
Yeah. It's
just you watch it and you just think, wow. Like if only we could get this guy playing 90 minutes every game. You know, he'd be right at form in our side, wouldn't he?
Exactly.
I think it's just that attitude just needs fixing. But you think Nuno is probably the right coach to unlock it.
Yeah.
I get that impression.
And I also think he could be perfect for the side we're building in terms of his skill set. If you put him in, say, Dele Alli's role, I think he could really thrive in that role next to Skip and Højbjerg with a bit more protection maybe around him, a bit more, you know, with the legs of Skip and Højbjerg around him doing a lot of the leg work. He could really be allowed to flourish in that central area. And I think he's a lot more at home in the central area with the tight spaces around him, with the central mids around him, than maybe Dele Alli is, I feel.
Yeah, he needs that protection behind him to express himself a bit more. And I think having Ndombele fit and firing and in form and confident and putting the effort in, I think that will also step up Lo Celso's game as well. Gives him some competition for his place. They play a similar sort of role, I think, wouldn't they, if they had both Skip and Højbjerg behind them? Yeah. And I want to see more from Lo Celso. In general, I've been a bit disappointed with him since he's been here. He seems to always be on the injury list, and when you just want him to just step up in the big games, he doesn't really seem to do so. But you know, he has got all the quality.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the quality, and like there was that season when Mourinho first came in, and we had all those injuries, and he was really grabbing games by the scruff of the neck, and he was an outstanding performer for us. But ever since then, I mean, injuries just seem to be just recurring and taking their toll, and he's not impacting games like he used to. But I do back him. I think he's got the quality to do it. So I think us as a fan base just need to be a bit patient with him for it to come through. But big game this weekend, Palace away. Are you confident going into this one?
Do you know what? I am. Despite the injuries that we have, I still think we'll come away with a 2-0 win. I'm going to go for
2-0. Very confident.
2-0. Yeah, I can see Harry Kane getting a pace. I think he is my. Oh, am I gone?
No, you're here.
You're here.
Oh, sorry. My internet was lagging there. But no, I think Harry Kane. He seemed a bit slow during the international break.
Just the 3 and 3.
Exactly. He only got 3 and 3.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like when you watch him play, he seemed a bit slow and a bit lethargic. He wasn't chasing down balls. You could see he was a little bit unfit. But then again, he still gets 3 and 3, and he scores an absolute, what I thought was a worldie. The way he put
was.
that pace and whip on the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He just
Oh,
saw
now he got-
Chesney in goal, and he was like, "Why not? Why not?"
By accident, that was on
No, he's
purpose,
there.
and
He's still there.
he's just that type. Oh, I'm still here. I think I'm hanging on by a thread here, lads.
Yeah,
Just
I
about.
think the internet is really laggy
But,
here at the moment.
No, oh, am I here?
All right, Connor, I think we're going to have to move on. I think the internet's a bit too laggy, but thank you so much for coming on, Connor, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah, call in again, mate. Nice to speak to you.
Will do, mate. Enjoy the game tomorrow, lads.
Cheers,
See you,
mate. Up the Spurs. Come
See you in
on.
a bit.
That was a really good call. Shame the internet
Carl, near the end.
went a bit laggy towards the end. But let's move on. We've got Ribsy.
Holy shit! How are you guys? Sorry, am I allowed to swear? Yeah, I know. Well, we'll go shit at the highest. All right, how's that sound? Well, Canberra, Australia. How are you, lads? Yeah, Tim. Oh yeah, you're gonna get constant noise and mostly just nonsense from me. But I thought I'd just come in and say good day because I've been around for a bit and whatever. Oh no, people can only hear me, so there's a benefit for everyone as far as I'm concerned.
We are muted.
Yeah, we're fine now? All right, we're back. Apologies about that, guys. I'll just say, yeah, everyone says Ribsy should run the show now. And it will just say...
As long as you can hear the fat Australian, it's all good. Right?
we were just saying how it's nice to put a face to a name with Ribsy. He's been commenting for a long time. But what are your thoughts on what we were talking about in terms of Hugo Lloris in particular? Like, there's talks of him potentially getting a new contract. Do you believe that it's worth it, or would you like to see maybe Golini come in next year and maybe with Lloris aging a bit, do you think it's time to move him on, or do you think he's still one of the highest performing keepers in the league?
Man, I mean, goalkeepers go longer than anyone, right? So, like, I don't really figure that Lloris is slowing down. I mean, people are saying he's staying on the line a bit more, but that seems to be more tactical than anything else. He's a sensational shot stopper. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're stopping balls coming in, that's far more important than any kind of distribution. I think that Golini can learn a lot from Lloris. I think it's a good idea to keep them together. Golini needs games if he's going to stay with us, and I think he'll get them. But Lloris is a sensational Premier League goalie, as far as I'm concerned. Let's keep him going if he wants to stay here.
Yeah, and do you think, the talks at the moment that what Alistair Gold was saying is only if Lloris keeps up these consistent performances will we offer him a new contract. But do you think he's already earned the new contract? Do you think he needs to prove it?
Who's he got to prove it to? I mean, the guy is stopping. I mean, he's playing at a Premier League club. Sorry, give me a sec, guys. An alarm's going off.
Oh, that's all right.
1 second to shut that up.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, while we're waiting for Ribsy, I just want to let you guys know about our latest episode of the Football Weekender with freebets.com. Link is pinned to the top of the chat right now, and it's also in the description below. And we've also I just opened up a poll saying, should Hugo Lloris get a new contract? And 91% of you are saying yes so far. So that's backing up what you're saying, Ribsy.
Yeah, can you hear us? Oh, now he's muted. No?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
now I can hear you. Can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you
Good.
now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the hate. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I'm Australian, so I'm no football expert. But in terms of what I see, and I've been watching Spurs for a good long time now. I mean, the guy, in terms of the stats and in terms of what you see in a game, like, maybe he's not the greatest in terms of one-on-ones, but in terms of long shots, in terms of positioning, he's right up there with the very best. I don't know why you get rid of someone when they're performing so well, just because there seems to be some media out there, making fun of him and stuff. That's their problem. That's not Hugo's problem. Like,
where would you rank him, Ribsy, in Premier Leagues in the goalkeepers in the Premier League?
It's difficult to say because, defense is a team action, and
Yeah.
I feel like so often, if a goalkeeper's not performing, it's just as much the issue with the centre backs or the centre halves and what's going on the field, more than it is just the actual shot stopping. But yeah, right on. I mean, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with the guy, and he's our captain. So I mean, if he's still performing, he should be playing. I mean,
Yeah.
the day that doesn't become the thing, when we're looking at him going like with Joe Hart, when you're going, you should have stopped that, mate. If you didn't, like, anyone would have stopped that. My grandma would have stopped that. At that day, get rid of him, But until that,
Fair enough.
And in terms of the game this weekend, I mean, how confident are you going into this one?
Well, I mean, we're going to get 1-0. That's what we've been doing so far, right? So continue on.
How sustainable is that, though?
I'll be up with that.
Oh, is he there?
Oh no.
No, you're
Sorry,
here. You're here.
I said how. Did you hear the how sustainable is that?
I'm disappearing into the ether of the lagged internet.
All right, Ribsy, just before you go, give us a score prediction.
1-0 Spurs.
1-0. All right, big up yourself, Ribsy. Thanks
Nice
a lot
one,
for
Ribsy.
coming on, my friend.
Nice to see you, mate.
Johnny, lads.
Please call
Have a
in
good one.
again.
Call in again. Call in again.
Will do.
Please
Have a
do.
good one, lads.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one, mate. See you in a bit.
And that was the famous Ribsy85 people
Nice.
that you see in the comments quite often in our
Nice
kind of
to
live
finally get to
streams
see him.
and what have you. Is there anyone else waiting? No one else waiting. So let me just repeat what I was saying while we're waiting for Ribsy before. The Football Weekender is now up on freebets.com YouTube channel, where we go through every single Premier League game and one pick of European game as well. We give you our kind of betting tips alongside freebets.com. For around the weekend. There are some really interesting fixtures this weekend, so do go and check it out. The link is in the top, pinned to the top of the chat, and also in the description below. And we've also got the poll. The poll is 89%. Hugo Lloris should get a new contract, so that's a resounding yes.
89%. Nice.
A
And I
resounding
think
yes.
that's worthy of what he's worth. I think it would be silly not to give him one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think he's well worth it. Well worth it.
All right, big up everyone. Thank you.
There is someone.
Someone's just joined.
All right. Let's get him
Someone's
on.
just joined apparently in the final second,
right at the death.
right at the death.
That's all right.
I got a feeling it's Brian Daigle.
They kill.
Yes, it is.
What gives you that feeling?
Because he says in the chat, I'm here. Brian Daigle in at the last. We're even waiting for you, Brian. We're even waiting for you.
Big up, Brian.
Brian,
on.
Brian, where are you, mate? Where are you?
I'm here.
There you are. There you are.
Thank God. I was like, hello. Am I here? I was like, my cat's woke me up again, and I just got in at the end. And I was like, am I dreaming?
How you doing, Brian? You good?
I'm doing good, lads. I was just going out for my morning cigarette, and I saw you talking about Lloris, and I was like, I need to come on.
Please,
So
give us
should he
your
get a
thoughts.
contract, Brian?
Do you know what? When it's come to Hugo right now, I'm at the point where whatever Hugo wants to do, I'm more than happy with. If Hugo wants to go after 10 years of excellent service and wants to finish his career in France, or I don't know why, I have a funny feeling he might make it over here to the MLS, then do you know what? Now Galini's in and we've got like cover. Whatever he decides, I'm going to stand by it and be like, do you know what, mate? You've done incredible service. Go and get this move you want. And if he stays, I'll be just as happy.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of earned the right to do what he wants. But in your personal opinion, would it be better for us if he does sign that new contract for 1-2 years? I mean, regardless of what he wants or not. I mean, you as a fan, what would you want?
Oh, that's a real tough question. I think if I have to be absolutely honest, I think it's time to move on. In my honest
Really?
opinion. In my honest opinion, I mean, now that we've got Galini, and I've heard, you got to remember, with Tottenham away, I've become very close friends with Vicky as well. When Vicky talks about Italian football, it's as good as any Tottenham source or whatever we have that we use. And the way he talks about Galini, I'm very, very excited. And I think it also gives us that time, even if Galini isn't the number one choice that they want, having Galini for that second year on the loan option gives us time, like Manchester United did with De Gea. It gives us time to go and scout the right goalkeeper to replace him. Having Galini, if we didn't have Galini, I'd be like, he has to sign. I want him to stay. But I think now, if I had to be honest, I would say it's time for some new blood.
Interesting. But when it comes to Ndombele, you know, he's now said he's wanting to fight for his place, and he's had a chat with Nuno and Paratici about staying here for the season. Do you expect to see him more involved sooner rather than later? Do you expect to see him get back into the team now?
So one thing I have said with Ndombele, and I think we've seen that it's not a fitness thing, because we've tried it with 4 different managers, we've tried it with everything, and it's not worked. But I think what we do need to try is, I think one of the things that we've done, which is fantastic, is signing the psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever role or title he's been given. And I think it's a mental block. I'm not saying he's got mental health issues, but I think with him it is mentality rather than fitness or whatever. I think if we can spend some time with him and unlock whatever it is in there, that could be a huge, huge benefit. Because we've seen that for over 4 managers he can't play over 70 minutes. Over four managers he doesn't really track back all the time. He has done on occasions, but I think we need to try and work on him mentally and unlock something there. And I think if we can do that, then we might have the Tanguy that we all know, and we all know that's in there and dying to get out. So,
but Brian, at 200 grand a week, how long do we bide our time with him?
See, that's the $64 million question, which is probably the length of his contract and what he's earning from us. He's had all this time. I mean, I don't know his fitness. I mean, from what we see in training, he looks happy, but that's easily done. When if someone takes a picture at the right time, he's going to be smiling, so it's pretty obvious. It's a case of, do you throw him in now where he's not fully prepared, or do you give him, let's say, 2 weeks from now with a psychologist and doing training to try and get him ready for coming up? Because the main thing I think we've got to have him ready for, although it's as far away as come Christmas, we've seen with the strength in depth at the moment with the injuries, excuse me, and the COVID things, that the team isn't strong. So around that time is when we're going to need everyone firing. I'm not saying keep him out till Christmas. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, if you look at it, with our strength in depth, we can't do anything till January. That's the time period we really need everyone, for obvious reasons, fit and firing because of the amount of games that come in. So I would say even give him till mid-October. Phase him in, not just throw him in. But I think, I don't know what other people think. I think it's spending time with this psychiatrist or whatever the mental health doctor is there for, or whatever his title is. Spend a lot of time with him outside of training to see if there is anything that they can do. And like I said, if they can unlock what we know the potential with them is there, then we could see the real Tanguy.
Do you think he might be involved tomorrow? Any chance?
So I've said it. I mean, I would go with Winks, and I hate that I say that, but as we've said before, give me someone that will give 100% effort and hard work over someone that's got skill every single day of the week, and that's the only reason. I mean, if Tanguy was fit, and I mean match fit, then I don't think it'd be a question. I would go with Tanguy, but we know that he hasn't been training. Nuno's confirmed that. I think he's been training recently, but we know what happened pre-season to start. So just on that, I'd have him on the bench.
I mean, it was from my understanding, Brian, that Tanguy been involved in the whole of pre-season in terms of training. He just hasn't played any games or anything like that, so he could be
because
fit.
he hasn't reached his. Would you say that he hasn't been chosen because he hasn't met the fitness requirements?
No,
So,
I think he hasn't been chosen because he wanted to leave.
There we go. So on that note, if Tanguy is ready and match fit, then I think I will go with Tanguy. But that's only if he's 100% match fit.
Of course.
Because you know he's going to come off after 60, 70 minutes regardless.
Yeah.
And then it depends. Do we need if we need someone to create something? He's the number one player to do it. And if he can't provide it in the latter stages, it's an issue. It's a big issue.
Yeah. And in terms of moving on to the game this weekend, are you confident going into it, or is this a potential banana skin for us?
I said yesterday, and I stand by it. For me, it's one of our hardest away games. It's one of the ones I actually really dread. Not because Crystal Palace are brilliant, but their fans and our Simeon, I think you were saying we haven't lost there for a little while, but it's always a tough game there. It's never a happy hunting ground. There's always so the prediction I gave yesterday was either 1-1, but if there has to be a winner, 2-1 us. But I think we will concede.
But with Palace under new management now, with Patrick Vieira at the helm, no more Roy Hodgson pragmatic style. Do you have any thoughts about what we might see from Palace tomorrow, or is it kind of like we don't really know what we're going to get?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, the one thing we do know, Vieira will get them more fired up because this game means a hell of a lot more to him than I would say Palace fans, because of obviously the rivalry with Arsenal. So they could have that extra incentive with impressing the manager against Tottenham. But yeah, I mean, it takes a while to implement a new system, especially when Palace have been so rigid for so long with that Roy Hodgson. This is the way we play. This is the way we play. It's very hard for them to change, but we shall see. I mean, I'm very impressed with that. The Gallagher, is it Sam Gallagher?
Connor.
So he impresses me.
Yeah, he's a very good player, and everything seems to be going through him. And then they got Zaha on top of that, Benteke, who had a very strong end to the season last year, and Oderson Edouard as well, who scored goals for fun with Celtic. So they're going to pose a threat, that's for sure. And they're going to have the fans behind them. It's going to be, you're right, it's going to be a very, very hard game for us. It's going to be a hard game for us, but we're just going to have to see if we can rise to the occasion, especially with all the kind of problems we're going through at the moment with the South American boys and the players that are having late fitness tests and what have you. But let's see how it goes. That's
boys. That's all we can do. And with that, Edouard, the Celtic shot, I remember coming on the show, Ben, when we were talking about a replacement for Kane or even backup. And you mentioned him, and then after you mentioned him, I started looking into him and talking about it on other streams, and always mentioned that you were saying it first. And he does look like a good player. He really does, and he looks like he could have been the ideal go between Kane and Scarlett. Let's just hope that doesn't come back to bite us.
Yeah, I mean,
of course, he's making his debut this weekend. Obviously,
yeah, of course. You know he's going to score, but it's just like. I desperately wanted him, but there was never any sort of links between Tottenham and Edouard. But because he's gone to Palace, doesn't that give us maybe an opportunity to sign him in a couple, 2-3 years' time if he does well in the Premier League?
It does, but you know what it is with Palace as well? That I don't think they'd sell for cheap, especially to us. And then we have, I'm not saying we have this, but obviously their demands, God knows what it would be. If he sets the world alight as well, or does reasonably well, we won't be the only Premiership team looking at him.
True.
That's for sure. Not. So then if he does well at Palace, other teams will be like, okay, wait a minute. And then we'd have to see. We'd have to try and get in there early and get the deal done very, very quickly. But he does look very promising. So we'll just have to see what he does. Just hopefully he doesn't have the blinder that he needs to have tomorrow. He can do it any other game of the season, just not tomorrow, please.
Yeah, let him do it in 2 or 3 weeks' time against Arsenal. I think that would be the ideal one.
It could not have been a better fixture to do it in. Very good. That's exactly what I was just suggesting. Against the Bills will be absolutely perfect.
All right, Brian,
nice one, Brian.
Absolute pleasure. Have a good weekend. Shabbat shalom. And
shalom,
let's hope for 3 points tomorrow.
Exactly. And I will see you literally next week.
Come on, Brian.
Next week. I will see
have
you
a safe flight, my friend.
Looking forward to it, Brian.
And as always,
come on, you Spurs, and leave you out.
There we go. I'll see you later, boys. Take care.
See you later, Brian.
See you, Brian.
Oh, Bob Spurgis. Oh,
come
they're
on
all
then.
rolling in now. They're all rolling in
Here
now.
they are. Here they come. The cavalry have come in. The cavalry. Big up to... Come on, Bob Spur. Let's see what you got.
Where is he? I can't see him. Bob?
Here he is. Here he
Oh,
is.
there he
He's
is.
coming on now.
There he is. Bob Spur coming on for the last caller of the stream. And, you know, he might be somewhere you recognise tomorrow morning as well for the live watch-along alongside the famous John Cooper. And I think they're going to have some interesting Harry Kane chats tomorrow, aren't you, Bob?
Definitely, legends. We're not letting you go home today, man. I think we've got Danny and Irish. They're all in the back. They're all waiting to come on now.
Don't worry, we ain't getting home for a while, so don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. How long's your trip tomorrow? How long is it going to take you to get to the studio?
About 2 and a bit hours.
Two and a bit
2.5 hours. Yeah,
Wow.
2.5 hours. Yeah, so I'll be leaving early doors. If not, I think I might come up tonight. See how it goes.
Let's hope it's worth the trip.
Well, let us know if you do come up tonight. And if you do come up tonight, maybe we can meet for a drink or something.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Just let me know about that. But let's not make plans about what we're going to be doing. We're here to talk about Tottenham and Hugo Lloris. Let's start off with him. I mean, in your opinion, not whether if he can make the call himself and if he should be able to make the call himself, but do you think that he should be given that new contract?
See, I've kind of flip-flopped with Hugo. I mean, he has. There's no denying he has made mistakes, but then every goalkeeper has. I think Sim. We spoke about Hugo last time. I was very adamant that it's time to move on, and you did say, you know, he's a bit underrated and maybe deserves a bit more of a chance. You know, the mistakes like against Liverpool in the last minute when Toby scored the own goal, them kind of mistakes really stand out. But then again, you know, his saves against Ajax, they overlooked because of Lucas' goal. We've got to remember he made a couple of really good saves before Lucas scored that winning goal. For me, mate, he's going to go down as a legend, isn't he? He's going to go down as a legend.
Well, most Premier League caps, so he can't not.
Exactly. He's going to go down as legend. There's a part of me that thinks we need to move on and get the next goalkeeper in. If that's Galini, that's Galini. If not, so be it. But if we do keep him, we can keep Galini. You know, Hugo had to bide his time when Brad was in goal. Big Brad was in goal. So Galini will have to do that as well. Has he got it in him? Goalkeepers normally go on till about the 35, 36 anyway. If he wants a contract, I think the only person who just decides if he's going to sign the contract is Hugo. If he turns around and says, look, I'm performing, I'll quite happily sign a contract, then he's entitled to it. But if he doesn't want to, we can't hold it. It's kind of a Kane effect, isn't it? We were quite happy to Kane to go on. A bit of difference, obviously, because Lloris is coming up to the end of his contract. But the only person who decides if he wants to stay at Tottenham, I believe, in my opinion, is Hugo. He deserves that. He's a club legend.
Yeah, I agree with that. And hopefully we can get that issue sorted, because I would hate for Hugo's time to end at the end of this season, because I do think he's got a few years left in him. But moving on to Ndombele, like he's coming out this morning, he's willing to fight for his place, and he's had good chats with Nuno and Paratici, and moving forward, hopefully he can knuckle down and win his place back. What's your reaction to that news? Is it a positive for you, or are you still a bit frustrated that it's going to take the window to close and all these chats again to kind of get him back on side?
I think the message was copy and pasted for one of Dele Alli's posts, wasn't it, for the last 2 or 3 years?
Or in Ndombele last season.
Yeah, exactly. I think I mentioned yesterday, for me personally, he shouldn't be anywhere near the team with his attitude, with his lack of professionalism, with his lack of commitment, his lack of respect for Nuno. But that's just from the outside. If he is integrated into the team, the way Nuno has basically made his stance, you know, you're not going to come back into the team unless you show me something. So for him to come back into the team means he is showing something within training, his mentality shift, or his commitment shift. So in Nuno I trust. Ndombele's trust is going to have to be gained slowly. We're going to have to get there slowly but surely. But if it's involved, it's a good sign, because I've trust in Nuno there's only one reason he'd be coming in, because there is that shift. Will he be featured tomorrow? I don't think so. I think Winks is likely to start. If
What about off the
Skippy's out,
bench? What about off the bench? Could he? Do you reckon he could be involved off the bench?
Possibly. I mean, my issue with Ndombele, I said yesterday, he could be the best midfielder in the world, but I don't want a player who we just give him 60, 70 minutes. It was a big celebration last season when he used to do 90 minutes. We're like, yeah, Ndombele, he's finally done 90 minutes. It was like a great thing. It shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't be keeping a sub one substitute behind just because one of our players can only give us 60, 70 minutes. That shouldn't be the case. We need a 90-minute player with full commitment, and add to that his ability. Mate, we've got a star in the making, but it's going to take a lot more than just a few words online on Twitter to say he was willing to fight his way back. Show us. And if he's on the bench tomorrow, then obviously it's good, because Nuno's seen something there for him to deserve that. Come on, yeah. If we need a goal, which hopefully we won't, but if we need a goal, or even if we don't, for the last 10, 15 minutes, give him a run out. And then if he's on the bench tomorrow, why not play him against Rennes, of course.
How patient are you willing to be with him now? I mean, he's been here for how many years now? 2 years, 3 years?
This is third year.
Third year now. Top wage is 200 grand a week. I mean, how much more patient can we be with him?
Ben, we've seen what he can do, mate. That's what it is.
That's the thing.
That's what makes it so hard.
Yeah.
But how long do you hold on to potential? Dele Alli is slowly but surely coming in, but it came to a point where he was poor for us longer than he was good for us. That's where we were with Dele Alli. With Ndombele, we've seen it all, and the fact that I love his ability, I've said before, it's Gaza-esque. I've not seen anyone do stuff with the football since Gaza, what he does. That's how much I hold him in high regard. But it comes down to especially now with Nuno, there seems to be one focus. There seems to be that same identity and same fitness levels throughout the first team. He needs to, if he can get up to that, mate, we've got a player and a half, 60 million. He'd be worth double that, man, if he keeps it up. And he's young as well. The guy can be the best midfielder in the world, hands down. I really do believe that. He's much better than Pogba. He's much better than Pogba, ability-wise. He just needs to show it. I was in a position where I quite happily would have seen him go in the window, because of how everything else was going within the team and how everyone else was performing. But man, if we can get him to perform the way the likes of an Ali is, a Bergwijn, a Lucas, a Sonny, and everyone else, man, we've got a player and a half. He will rip it up. He will rip it up.
And go on.
Yeah, I was about to say, even with Ndombele, even if it's with a view to maybe him moving on next summer, how important is it that he does just have a good season this season, even just for himself, if he wants to get that move to a bigger club next summer? How do you think it's vitally important he has that stellar season? Because if he has another inconsistent season, those offers just won't come, will they? If he wants to leave.
No. I mean, I don't agree with the narrative of, well, at least we've got Kane for another year. And Ndombele needs to perform if he needs a move. The way I see it, if Kane performs, if Ndombele performs, if Sonny plays the way he's playing, if Lucas continues to put the shifts in that he's doing, Bergwijn improves, Højbjerg, we've got world class, Skippy improves, man, we're going to have a successful season. There's no reason why any of our world class talent should be looking over the shoulder and thinking we need to get out of this club. If Kane does what he's best at, if Ndombele comes through and does what he does, we'll be successful. We'll be going places. We might not win a trophy. I hope we do. The conference. We might not. But if there's really evident progression, a build, not a rebuild. I've had enough fucking rebuilds. If there's a build, and there is a progression inside that is quite clear, there's absolutely no reason why Harry Kane or Ndombele will want to leave at the end of the season. If he performs, it's good for Tottenham Hotspur. And if it's good for Tottenham Hotspur, it's good for the players to stay. Harry Kane, I believe, will stay till the end of his career now. I really do believe that. We just need to make sure the likes of Ndombele, the likes of Harry Kane play in a squad that's progressing and building and at least in and around positions where we're winning stuff, because that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? We want to win shit.
And talking about winning stuff, are we going to win tomorrow?
Oh,
Of course we're winning tomorrow. He's on the watch along. He's our lucky charm. Come on.
We don't know yet.
I want to be invited back.
I've got a feeling. Good
feeling.
feeling.
Yeah.
How do you see it going tomorrow? What do you expect from Vieira's Palace side tomorrow?
I don't know if can you still see me because I'm
yeah.
We can see you
you're
perfectly.
here, mate. You're here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Unfortunate to some people. I think if Vieira's looked a bit, Palace have certainly looked a bit more attacking this season, haven't they? You know, with Conor Gallagher, wicked player, man. And, he'll never come to us, obviously, coming from where he is. But he's a good player. They look a bit more attacking, and I do think if they go full out attacking, we'll batter them. If they go full on attacking and try and attack us with the pace we've got on the attack, even if it is just the likes of a Lucas or a Hill. There's talks of Hill possibly starting tomorrow. We don't know. I don't know where it is. Don't know if Sonny's looking. But regardless, I think with our attacking know-how, regardless of who we play, I think we'll have them. Plus, the way it's going, man, I know a lot of people are on edge, and I know Palace have always given us a hard game. Whenever we expect Palace to put up a show and give us a hard game or give a team a hard game, they always seem to falter. We're hoping that's the case. And obviously, you've got the lucky charm in the studio, man. So, 3-0 tomorrow. 2-0. 2-0. But 2-3-0, yeah, definitely.
All right, I'll take
definitely.
that, Bob. I'll take that. And if we do win 3-0 or even 2-0, you most definitely will be invited back. That's for sure.
That's it, man. That's it. I definitely want to be back.
Bob, absolute pleasure as always. Keep that smile for tomorrow because we're going to need it. So thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Legends. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
Bob.
Anyone else? No.
That's it.
All right, that is it. That is your Good Morning Tottenham for today. We got a host of content coming your way, match press conferences, press conference reactions, and predicted lineup, as well as all the clips from today. So thank you everyone for joining. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.